With the second pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Chase Young, defensive end, Ohio State.
But you know, as they say, hail to the Redskins. Let's roll, man. Let's go.
Welcome, all my fellow Redskin brethren and sistren. I am your man and resident Redskins fan, Lou. Thank you for joining me here on the Redskins Report. Be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. Now, I don't know any of this to be factual, okay? Everything tonight is based off of conjecture and drawing inferences. So you guys, bear with me. Follow along. We'll get to any super chats that may be in the comment section after I lay everything out for you that I have surmised to this point. And again, I'm just connecting dots. I don't know if any of this is 100% true or not. Something's going to happen. If you watched my video yesterday that I did, and I told you I had this feeling in the pit of my stomach that something was happening. There was a storm brewing. I didn't know what, and I still don't, honestly. I think I have an inkling as to what's going on here, but I don't really know. And trust me, we're going to find out eventually. All of this is going to be laid out for us. Everything is going to be in front of us for us to see. And there are going to be heads that roll. And the one that we care about the most could potentially be on the chopping block. That being one, Daniel M. Snyder. Now, before we get to that, I just want to get you up to speed on how we got here. Because me talking about Daniel Snyder potentially being out as owner is a bombshell. This is a guy that we thought was going to run this organization into the ground until the day he died. All right. As Redskins fans, the only thing worse than the name being changed was probably Daniel Snyder being the owner for the next 50 years. Okay. However, a lot of you were willing to trade that. We talked about this. Remember, I gave you guys a scenario. I said, would you trade Daniel Snyder out as owner for the name having to change? And a lot of you said, nah, I'll deal with Snyder. I don't want the name to go anywhere. Look, the name is out of our control. That's done. It's gone. It's not coming back. However, now that we know we can't have the name, why can't we at least get a new owner? If we're going to start this thing over fresh and clean, might as well clean house, get rid of the owner, and start anew. All right. That's what I'm going to sign up for. Now, let's get us up to speed on how we got here. So I talked about it on the video yesterday, but to recap, there's been a lot of chatter among people in the know, people in the Redskin media circles. All right. A lot of the beat reporters dropping little tidbits our way. OK, we all have been overconsumed with the name change, the logo. What are they going to change the name to? This, that, and the third. We've been so consumed with all of those things that some other things were happening behind the scenes that we kind of just said, oh, we're chalking it up to everything with the name. And the first thing that should have been a red flag for all of us, but we were so consumed with the name, was that minority owners wanted out all of a sudden. Okay? Like, let's not pretend that Fred Smith didn't know that the Redskins organization's name was a problem when he decided to extend a 27-year contract to have the name of his company on the stadium. Okay, let's not act like that wasn't an issue then when he extended that contract out to Daniel Snyder and the Washington Redskins. Okay, so it should have dawned on me then that he and Robert Rothman and all the rest of these guys, Robert Shaw and Shaw and all of those guys, Dwight Shaw, wanted out. I should have thought about it then, but I didn't. I just said, oh, maybe this is the time to get out. Coronavirus, there may not be a season. Maybe there's a little bit of loss in revenue. Maybe this is the time for them to get out. But that was the first clue, that the minority owners wanted out. Why all of a sudden you want out now? Okay, so that was clue number one. Then, of course, you get the whole name change situation, and that started to stir about. And then, you know, as we were figuring out what the name would be, and everyone's throwing in their opinions, and they're throwing out different logos and different iterations of the uniform and what it should look like. And I'm telling you, right, right now, and we'll talk about this at greater length tomorrow. There have been some really good suggestions by some people that have put together some stuff. We'll talk about that tomorrow, though. That's not what we're here for tonight. So then you see all of those things, but subtly on Twitter, you're talking about the name to some of these prominent beat writers, whether it's Julie Donaldson or it's John Keim or, the one that stood out for me the most was J.P. Finley. And I told you that yesterday. So if you haven't watched the video from yesterday, you need to look at that one. But I talked about J.P. Finley putting out a tweet that said, it's going to be a long week. And then J.P. followed that up with another tweet the following night that said, it's going to be a very long week, or busy. I think the word he used was busy. It's going to be a busy week. And not all of it is going to be name change, and not all of it is going to be good. And that got me to thinking, what are you trying to tell me, JP? So then I told you I've been following all of these different people, and there were more crumbs being dropped. And then Julie Donaldson was the latest crumb that I had that came my way when she said someone was asking her about the name. They did not even ask her for this information, and she volunteered it. And she said, look, what's going to happen is disgusting and it's vile. And I'm thinking, well, goddamn, Julie, what could it be? And so it got me to thinking, if it's disgusting and vile, and someone was asking her about Kelvin Harmon's injury, and she's going off topic. All right, and this wasn't something that was asked of her. This is something she volunteered on her own volition. That what's coming is going to be vile and disgusting. And I'm thinking to myself, well, damn, is it that bad, Julie? And then today, this was the one that made me think, oh, this shit is really about to hit the fan. Something major is going on, because now I'm connecting the dots. You got a name change. You got minority owners wanting out. You got all these beat writers who are in the know. And I told you what Jason LaCanfora, and I know a lot of you don't like Jason LaCanfora. You think he's a hack, whatever the case may be. I told you what he said, and I read you the tweet. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But I told you what he said yesterday, and how he pretty much, and he's got this thing for Daniel Snyder, and I, you know what? I'm not mad at him about that. All right, but he said the warped and toxic culture of the Washington football team is about to be exposed in a sickening fashion again. And I told you guys that stuck in my craw, and I said, look, I don't really know what this is about, but if he's using strong language like that, Julie Donaldson is using strong language like that, J.P. Finley says it's going to be bad. All right, it's not all going to be name related, and it's not going to be good. They're trying to tell us something without telling us what they're trying to tell us. And so it got me to thinking, and in the last straw for me, the one that broke the camel's back was Larry Michael, the voice of the Redskins for the last 16 years. Out of nowhere, resigning, retiring. You call it what you want, all right? He said, I'm going to pack my shit and go because it's going to get ugly, and I don't want to be caught in the middle of this shitstorm. So when that happened, because look, if it was something that the organization had done like they've done in the past, Larry wouldn't have gone. Larry had no reason to leave the organization. Nothing has ever gone wrong before in the past that has prompted him to pack his shit and go. And so in my mind, this has to be really serious. If a guy like Larry Michael, who has had a comfy, cozy job as a Redskins, of the voice of the Redskins, and he's got some kind of title that he had that he retired from, if he's leaving, something serious is about to happen and be exposed. All right. So now when you connect all the dots, when you put all of this together in one gigantic pot, all right, minority owners want out, Larry Michael out, all right, as the voice of the Redskins for the last 16 years, damn near 2 decades. You're being forced to change the name, and Daniel Snyder he's fighting this behind the scenes, but he's already relented. You're in no position to fight at this point when what's about to hit the fan hits the fan. So you're changing the name, and maybe we're getting to a point now where Daniel Snyder is going to be out. And that's what tonight is all about. I think that whatever's about to be exposed, and a lot of you, and I want to thank all of you guys, Redskins fan all day, a number of you out there hit me up. There was someone else that hit me up as well. Can't Rob Dak, at Can't Rob Dak, or at Texas Cowtown, all of you guys for sending me a lot of information on this. But the person that sent me this first was my man JP, John Perez, at Johnny P 2294, my man JP, who is a staunch supporter of the brand. He sent me this information, and I don't know how accurate this is, okay? But I started to connect these dots long before JP sent me this. This is just making me think that there may be some validity to this. So I'll read you what he sent me. So this is from someone's thread on Twitter, at Pinky Reggae Party. So this one says, various sexual assaults and drug abuse, alcohol abuse throughout the organization, ? So not saying that that's the case, but is that the case? Maybe. He says, the owners are going to force Dan to sell. He won't be able to recover from this. Think it'll be way worse than Panthers' Jerry Richardson force out. And then this is from another post that JP sent me. All right. And I don't know where this is circulating. I think it's probably more so on IG than anywhere else. But it says, for those who aren't Skins Discord, here's what I got. All right. And this is from Pent 41207. And it says, WAPO article is coming tomorrow, Friday at the latest. Rats are fleeing the ship and attempting to distance themselves while they can. Larry is the prime example. Others could be following suit. This goes far higher than anyone can think. Larry Hess and Eric Schaefer are involved as well. Jay Gruden as well. Again, we don't know this to be 100% factual, but we know Jay Gruden's got a sketchy past. We did a video on that about, a year ago, 6 months ago, whatever it was, when that old video circulated of Jay smoking, kicking it with some females, looked like he was high out of his mind and also probably a little tipsy. So we know Jay's got a little bit of that in him. All right. But again, that was in his past. I'm not here to dig up a man's past, but nonetheless, it says sex assaults, drug abuse, drug and alcohol abuse. Other owners are furious, and this could lead to Snyder's removal. In no way Dan could have knowledge of at least some of it. Okay. Minority owners are furious and fed up with Dan, saw an opportunity to strike. So again, I don't know how factual any of that is, but this sounds about right because the bombshell that's coming to me has to have some level of sexual nature to it or something big. You fired 2 personnel guys in July. Okay, I talked about that yesterday. All right, so throw that in the pot as well. You fire 2 personnel guys, and they're reportedly wrapped up into all of this as well. I don't know if that's factual or not, okay? At the end of the day, something major is happening. And the reason all of these beat writers are telling you that something major is coming and it's going to be ugly and nasty, and you've got a national writer in Jason Lockhan-Ford telling you that the Redskins skeletons are about to be out of the closet yet again and exposed again, is because they already know what's coming. They just can't tell us because somebody's got the full scoop. And maybe it is the Washington Post. All right. Somebody's got the full scoop and they're going to unleash it in probably a long, lengthy column exposing everything that is going to put Daniel Snyder immediately on the hot seat and potentially out of the league as the Redskins owner. That's why JP Finley, that's why Julie Donaldson, that's why Jason Lockhan-Ford, that's why they can't tell you exactly what's going on because they know, all right, they're in the know. They know what's about to hit the fan. They just can't say it because of the courtesy that you extend to other people in the media. All right. They know what's coming. They may have already even read the article. They probably haven't. All right. However, they know much of what's going to be in it and they can't say it because that's the Washington Post. That's their scoop. They got the story. You got to let them break it and allow them to get all of the viewers and the traffic that's going to come with it. So maybe that's in fact what's going to take place Thursday. All right. Or Friday. Either way. This shit is about to hit the fan, and I think it's something epic. All right. And Dan himself may not have been involved, but the fact that it happened under his watch, if in fact any of this is true, all right, the fact that it happened under his watch You're basically talking about Joe Paterno at Penn State, where, look, Joe had nothing to do with everything that was going on, but he knew about the shit that was going on, and he turned a blind eye to it, and because of that, he had to go too. He knew what Jerry Sandusky was doing. He just didn't do anything about it. You're not telling me that Dan doesn't know what the hell. Remember, we've had a cheerleading scandal already with this organization. So this isn't that far-fetched, guys and gals, okay? This isn't that far-fetched. We've been down this road with this organization before with cheerleaders and things of that nature. So it's not that far-fetched to think that maybe this thing was a little bit bigger than we were led to believe when that story was first broken. I'm just saying, I don't know the particulars of any of this. I'm just telling you that something's going on here. And if any of this is true, and if the Washington Post is dropping a bomb, Dan's not going to be able to escape the wrath of what's coming his way. We're in this environment right now where heads are being chopped off. All right. I mean, square cleanly off your shoulders if you're not careful. One misstep, kaboom, black suits fill the room. And if Dan has any implications, or if any of this is true and it happened under his watch, the owners, I think, around the league are already sick and tired of Dan Snyder. He does not have many allies among the 32 NFL franchise owners. I think maybe 2 or 3 of them may be guys that actually consider themselves friends of Daniel Snyder. There aren't many in his corner, and I think most of the league wants Daniel Snyder gone because of what he's done to this franchise. This is a storybook franchise. It's supposed to be one of the pillars of the NFL. It's in one of the biggest markets in the NFL, and yet it's one of the worst run franchises. They've been the laughingstock, one of the laughingstocks of the league. And because of that, I think the NFL sees this as an opportunity potentially to get Daniel Snyder the hell out of town. And if this has any legs to it, of any kind, Daniel Snyder is going to be forced to sell this team similar to the way Jerry Richardson was forced to sell the team. And remember, if this is on as large a scale as we believe, this is way worse than Jerry Richardson. All right, that was just a sexual harassment suit that the league said, all right, you got to go. It's the Me Too movement, and we just can't have it. We can't have a black eye on our league. You got to go. You got to sell the team. Well, if that got Jerry Richardson out as an owner, this is way worse if any of this stuff is true. Again, all of this is hypothetically speaking because we can't substantiate any of it. But hey, look, when you put us to work as, internet and IG and social detectives, all right, when you put us to work, which is what J.P. Finley and Julie Donaldson and Jason Lockhan-Ford effectively did when they continued to drop crumbs but not tell us anything. You put us to work, and we started connecting the dots, and we see that the minority owners are trying to get out of there. We see that they just fired a couple of employees that they would have fired if it were for on-the-field reasons. And we've already been told that the reason those 2 guys were fired were off the field, non-football related reasons. You guys, use your brains, okay? They're telling us without telling us some shit's about to hit the fan, okay? And so I'm telling you guys, more likely than not, if any of this is true, we're going to have ourselves a new owner. This is what we asked for, okay? All right, I'm guilty as charged. This is what we asked for as fans. We've been begging and pleading for this. So I've got on all white because this feels like a new beginning. I feel fresh. Now, I hate that it's coming at the expense of potentially some women and another black eye on the organization. At this point, who gives a shit if it means that Daniel Snyder is out? This is what we want. If we want to have a real legitimate shot at being a franchise that can get back to the glory years, we got to get Daniel Snyder the hell out of here. We all know this to be a fact. And if this is the way we got to do it, by all means, sorry, Dan, you got to go. So I'm just telling you guys, I don't know what's going to become of this situation. All right. But I will tell you this. This feels like the beginning of the end of Daniel Snyder's reign of terror over this organization. I don't really give a shit what it's going to be called. If we're getting Daniel Snyder, I remember I posed the question to you guys. I never thought it would actually come to fruition. Never did I think in my wildest dreams I'd be sitting in this chair having this conversation with you about potentially having a brand new name, but more importantly, a brand new owner. Okay? Because when I posed that concept to you guys in that question, I actually thought about it briefly, like, man, it would be nice to have a brand new owner. I don't want to get rid of the name, And as a wise man once said, that name's got my daddy's blood on it. The name stays here. All right? You can take everything else, but the name stays here. But I thought about it for a second, and I said, man, what I wouldn't give to get Daniel Snyder's ass the hell out of here. Well, I may have had to give up the name. All right? That might have been collateral damage. However, getting rid of Daniel Snyder means a fresh beginning for what has become a very stale organization. Come on, aren't you guys tired of having to do this song and dance every year with this organization mucking something up? Don't you want a chance at being a relevant franchise for all the right reasons? Here's potentially an opportunity to do exactly that. So I've laid it all out there for you. Let's get to the comment section. And we're still going to go live again tomorrow. All right, and we'll probably have more. And maybe they'll break the story tomorrow. Maybe the Washington Post will drop that damn bomb. I'm talking about this is Pearl Harbor status. All right, this is Hiroshima right here, potentially. Maybe it comes tomorrow. Maybe it comes Friday. I don't know. Thursday seems like the perfect day to do it if you're going to do it. Don't let that just kind of fade into the weekend. No. You drop that on Thursday. You let that simmer. I mean, you let that shit marinate. And then Friday, everybody picks their ass apart. And maybe by Saturday, Daniel Snyder is forced to sell the goddamn team. Who knows? We'll see. Everything's been happening so fast lately. Everything's been happening in warped speed. Why not this, right? We got a number of people that are interested. We all know Jeff Bezos has the bread to buy the entire franchise. All 100% stake. Right from everybody. All the minority. The reason Jeff Bezos doesn't want to come on board right now is because who wants to be a silent partner under Daniel Snyder? Nobody. Which is why the 40% share that's out there right now, they're having a tough time getting someone to buy it from them. Nobody wants to be a silent partner under Daniel Snyder. But if his ass has to go and he's got to sell him, his wife, and his daughter has to sell their 60%, well, all of a sudden, a guy like Jeff Bezos is like, hey, let me get some of that. Hey, matter of fact, I'll buy the whole thing. Let me get all of that. So I'm not saying, I'm just saying.